I'm actually really, really excited about tonight. I'm so excited to talk about home ownership and real estate and all of the things. So I'm going to share my screen really quickly and then let me know as soon as you're able to see it. And I'm going to move over to this presentation.
Yeah, we can see you.
Okay, perfect. I'm going to present. Okay. All right. So good afternoon. Well, it's evening. Good evening, ladies. Tonight we're going to be talking about the real estate blueprint. And so the title for this is Building a Firm Foundation. And I was so excited to talk to you ladies because I don't necessarily get the opportunity to correlate biblical principles in the home ownership space. So I'm so excited to speak to women of faith because we can build on a solid foundation, right? We are all daughters of the King, maker of heaven and earth. And so I believe it is nothing for him to allow us to be a homeowner. I believe it is nothing for him to give us the desires of our heart. I believe that he owns the cattle on 1,000 hills, and it's nothing for God to bless us with home ownership. So I'm glad to be talking about building a firm foundation with you all. So the agenda for tonight, we already went over a quick bio. I want to talk about why home ownership matters. I want to approach it from a biblical standpoint. I want to talk about ownership and occupying, financial readiness, credit scores, home buying process, loans. It's a lot of information here. So one of the things I always tell people when I am doing like a new buyer's presentation is there's no stupid question. And this is your first time doing this. So I don't want anybody to feel intimidated or feel like you can't ask a question or that the question is stupid. You've never done this before. So there is no stupid question. Normally, people may buy a house once or twice in their entire lifetime. So I've had people that bought a house once and maybe bought a house 10 years ago and they forgot the whole process. It's a blur. So as I'm giving you all of this information, I want you to take notes. If you have a burning question and you want to ask it at that time, drop it in the chat. But I will have a section or a segment where we will do Q&A. Um, Sarah gave me a beautiful introduction. No reason to go back into it. My name is London. I'm from Atlanta. I moved to South Florida. I came here on a Greyhound bus, and I will never let that go, Jesus. It was a 16-hour ride, and I never thought that I would live in South Florida, but I have been here since 2007. So 2027 will make it 20 years. And so I've always wanted to be a real estate agent. My grandmother was a realtor in the 80s. My sister's a realtor. My grandmother is still at 80 something years old, decorating and cleaning people's houses with cane and all. My my mom decorates. So it's been something that has always been in my blood, something that I always enjoy. It's never felt like work to me. It's just such a fulfilling job. I love helping people, especially those that look like me, especially those that feel like there's something they could never do. I love helping people become homeowners. So this is something I was like, God, I want to be a real estate agent. So the whole time I've been doing real estate, I've done it in tandem with my corporate job, but I love healthcare and I love real estate at the same time. So I just do both. So I'm going to start with this scripture, and this is Proverbs 31. It is verses 16 through 18, and it is the NIV version. And it says, she considers a field and buys it. Out of her earnings, she plants a vineyard. She sets about her work vigorously. Her arms are strong for her task. She sees that her trading is profitable and her lamp does not go out at night. So we often talk about the Proverbs 31 woman, and we talk about how she's this great mom, and we talk about how she's this great wife. But the Proverbs 31 woman is also a boss. So it says she considers a field and she buys it. That means that she has sought out a real estate. She saw it as a good thing and she purchased it. It says out of her earnings, meaning she had the money to purchase it. She plants a vineyard. If we go down to verse 18, it says she sees that her trading is profitable. So this woman knows how to trade. This woman is a real estate investor. This woman works her vineyard at night. And so I wanted to highlight this scripture in the beginning. And then after we go through this, I want to highlight it one more time once we kind of get some of this information about home ownership. So let's talk about why home ownership matters. And I want to start biblically because I want to build your faith. Number one, God has given us dominion. Genesis 1 and 28 says, and God blessed them. And God said unto them, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth and subdue it and have dominion over the fish of the sea and the fowl of the air and over every living thing that moveth upon the earth. God has given each of us dominion. Also, it is a promise. Isaiah 32 and 18, it says, my people will live in safety. Quietly at home, they will be at rest. Even if the forest should be destroyed and the city torn down, the Lord will greatly bless his people. Wherever they plant seed, bountiful crops will spring up. Their cattle and donkeys will graze freely. And sometimes I wanted to talk about the limiting beliefs at the beginning because sometimes we get told so many different things as to why not. But I want to build your faith as to why not. You are a child of the Most High God. These things belong to you. Sometimes we see the world with their things. Well, why not the children of God, right? He left these things for us. He said to have dominion. He said to occupy. He said that we shall live in safety. So the next point is that it belongs to you. I believe Jenica touched on this. This is Isaiah 65, verses 21 through 23. It says, they shall build houses and inhabit them. They shall plant vineyards and eat their fruit. They shall not build and another inhabit. They shall not plant and another eat. For as the days of a tree, so shall be the days of my people. Again, God is talking about his people. My elect shall long enjoy the works of their hands. They shall not labor in vain, nor bring forth children for trouble, for they shall be descendants of the blessed of the Lord. Are we not descendants of the Lord? And their offsprings with them. And then I want to go through Deuteronomy 11 and 24. It says, every place where you set your foot, it will be yours. Your territory will extend from the desert to Lebanon and from the Euphrates River to the Mediterranean Sea. So I want to build us up biblically because I heard some people saying, you know what, word curses were spoken over me. You know what, I don't know what I don't know. I don't have the finances. I don't have the resources. God does. And so we're going to take him at his word. I also want to talk about why home ownership matters. So home ownership is the largest source of wealth for Americans. The median homeowner has 40 times more wealth than the renter. Why? Every payment that you made towards your rent is an investment towards yourself. If you pay rent, raise your hand. You can put it on the chat because I want to, don't be ashamed. Hold your head up high. Okay. If you're paying rent, which I believe the majority of us are, you're paying mortgage. It's just not your mortgage. You're paying somebody else's mortgage, right? So real estate accounts for over 60% of the total wealth for middle-class Americans. If you think about purchasing real estate, normally homes are 200, 300, 400, 500,000. These are high price, high ticketed items, right? And so the thing about real estate is that it appreciates in value, meaning the value of real estate typically increases. Most of the other things that we buy, it decreases, right? So I know you've heard the adage, like if you buy a brand new car, as soon as you drive it off the lot, it has already decreased in value. You barely made it a mile down the street and it's not even worth the same amount that it was when you purchased it. That's not the same thing with real estate. And so I want to talk to you about McDonald's. I don't think many people know, but McDonald's is one of the biggest real estate investors in the world. So McDonald's is basically a real estate company that just so happens to sell Big Macs and McFlurries. What else they sell? Chicken nuggets and all the things. So the former CEO of McDonald's, it says, we are not technically in the food business. We are in the real estate business. The only reason why we sell, and at this time the burgers were 15 cents. The only reason why we sell 15 cents hamburgers is because they are the greatest producer of revenue from which our tenants can pay us rent. McDonald's owns over 40,000 locations, and their portfolio for real estate is over $42 billion. So they're not making money off your Big Mac. They might make a little bit, but the real money is coming from the real estate investment. They own that land that is under those golden arches. So, the reason why home ownership matters is because it builds your wealth and it builds your equity. I think we talked about it. Homes appreciate over time, increasing your wealth. Also, it gives you stability and control. I don't know if I believe during the pandemic, my rent increased by almost $600 per month. Normally, when you're renting a home every year, they go up on the price more and more. When you have a mortgage, that amount is more stabilized, right? Um, Also, during the pandemic, I had a friend, she owned a home. They were helping homeowners because they didn't want you to go into foreclosure. So, my friend actually did not pay mortgage the whole year of COVID because they had all these programs and incentives. You could take your mortgage payment and put it on the back of the loan, and the typical time frame for a loan is 30 years. So go and put it back there. I don't know, God will probably be back by then, but all I know is she did not pay mortgage for at least a year, right? And so also having a home is legacy. It's something that you can pass on. You can, real estate is not always buying. You can buy and flip. You can invest in Airbnb. There's just so many different ways that you can generate wealth through real estate. Okay. So now let's go into the steps. We're going to take steps towards home ownership. So I want to talk to you about credit. I want to talk to you about loans. I want to talk to you about all the things. So let's get into that. So let's talk about credit. And I want to break it down in such a way that is very easy to understand. Your credit is like your financial report card. When people are running your credit, they have no clue that you are a beautiful woman and that you sing real good and you can do hair. All they know is I'm looking at this sheet of paper and all I know about this person is this financial report card, right? The score matters because it helps people determine, can I trust you with money? What is your relationship with money? What are your patterns with money? Do you take out a loan and you don't pay it on time? Do you take out a loan and you don't pay it at all? It is like your financial reputation because, again, these people don't know you, but they can see what your patterns are. Okay. Based off this information, they'll make judgments. All right, her credit is low. She's not that good with money. We don't want to offer her this place, or she'll need a co-signer, or I've had people, you have to pay 2 additional months of rent just so that I have this in the background just in case you default, because based on your credit is showing me a bad history, a bad pattern, right? So credit scores range between 300 and 850. I thought the highest credit score you could get was 700 for some reason, but no, the highest credit score you can have is 850. And so the ranges are: poor is between 300 and 579. Fair is between 580 and 669. Good is between 670 and 739. Very good is 740 to 799, and excellent is 800 and above. But you only need fair credit to purchase a home. You don't have to have 700s. You don't have to have 650. There are some FHA loans that will qualify you at around the 580, 620 range, between that. So you don't have to have perfect credit. But again, it will impact your interest rates. Okay. So having bad credit actually costs you more money. Okay. So the higher your credit score, it means the lower your interest rate. So if I buy something for somebody and I'm borrowing money, They'll say, okay, I will allow you to borrow money, but you have to pay me back with interest, right? Depending on your credit score, the interest could be higher. So now we're talking about purchasing a home. The typical loan is for 30 years, right? So this interest is over a 30-year time frame. So let's say you bought a house for $200,000. You're not just paying them $200,000 back. Let's say the interest is 7%. Over 30 years, that $200,000 home is actually $478,000 with about $278,000 of interest. So that's why it's important to have a higher score, because the higher your credit, the better your interest rate. You don't want a high interest rate because, again, having bad credit costs you more money over time, if that makes sense. All right. So, what I want you to do in order to improve your credit, I don't know where everyone is in their credit journey. Every person is allowed a free annual credit report from the IRS. The website is annualcreditreport.com. Sometimes I tell people you just have to know where you stand in order to start, right? So you can run your credit and you can say, okay, I'm at this range, and then work from there. But a lot of people are scared to even run their credit because they don't want to know, they don't want to face it. I implore you to know what is on your credit. What is the credit score? Are there some things? And we're blessed because we have artificial intelligence. You can go on AI and have them write letters for you. You can go on there and have them give you some sort of a strategy. Now we're at like information overload. So I want you to start by knowing. Does everybody here know or have an idea of what their credit score is? And you can drop it in the chat. Okay. Okay, perfect. Okay, good. As long as you know, right? So we can't fix anything if we don't know. And I know I'm one of those people, like, I'm like, I don't even want to look. Like, I want you to look, right? We have to understand what the truth is because it's going to set us free and we're going to start on our journey, right? Some people may need to save money, some people may need to fix their credit, but first thing you need to do is know. All right. So, some ways that we can improve our credit is pay your bills on time. If you can pay your bills on time, pay them on time. If you can put them on auto pay, put them on auto pay, right? Because again, when they're looking at your credit, it's not just the score. They want to see, does she pay her bills on time? How much income, they call it a debt to income ratio. Debt is how much you owe. Income is how much is coming in. So how much is coming in versus how much is going out, right? Does she pay on time? It's a whole payer mix. It's not just a number, right? If you have a credit card, you want to try to keep it under 30% utilization. So if they say, all right, London, I approve you for $1,000, don't go to the mall and charge up the whole $1,000. We want to keep it under 30%, which at $1,000, you don't want to charge over 300 because what the creditors see is, wow, she really needs that money. She's really using that money, right? So try to keep it under 30%. And if you pay your credit card bills on time, you can ask them for a credit limit increase. That's what I did. I just kept making payments on time. I would go get gas and then I would just go on the app and pay the money right back. So it looks like I'm just making a lot of payments. I'm not. It's the same money I was going to use anyway, but I was trying to build my credit. If you have a credit payment that's due, you can break it up in two. Let's say it's $100. You want to pay 50 on this day and 50 on the 15th. It looks like two payments, but you want to keep it under 30% and you want to pay it on time. Okay. If you are looking to purchase, when you're getting ready to that time, I don't want you to make new credit purchases. I don't want you to go out and finance a car or finance because it's going to throw off your debt to income ratio, right? So you're adding another $600 bill or you're adding another whatever it is. You want to keep those credit payments low. And when you're ready to purchase, don't open anything new. Just keep it the same and be consistent. Pay on time, keep it under 30%, and keep that pattern. So when they're looking, okay, she makes her payments on time. Okay, she pays everything. Okay, her credit is under 30%. So there is an app that I use. It's called the Rocket Money app. And I believe at one tier, it's about $10 a month. and it really will read you to filth. It really told me, London, you went to Dunkin' Donuts 10 times this month. I was like, I did. It really will let you know what you're doing. So it's really good in being accountable. It showed me like how much I was spending, how much you're spending on eating out. What are your patterns? I didn't even know I went to Dunkin' Donuts that many times. Maybe I was going through a rough patch, but it was like, you went to Dunkin' Donuts 10 times. I'm like, I did. So I always encourage people to use the Rocket Money app if you can. And then also there is an app called My FICO. I know people say, oh, well, my Credit Karma says 800. And normally those are not the scores that the mortgage lender are using to qualify for you for a home. The My FICO app is closer towards those scores that they need to qualify you for a home. So if I were to recommend two apps, it would be Rocket Money and then also My FICO. Okay, so save, save, save. If at all possible, if you can save 10% of your income. I was talking about the Rocket Money app. I uninstalled all kind of apps. I didn't know I even had. That's the thing with subscription. Oh, just $6 a month. Oh, just, and I added up all my subscriptions and I'm like, I'm paying like $200 a month in subscriptions once you add up all of those things. So I want you to take a look at where is your money going? Are you spending 50, my subscriptions were in the hundreds and I was getting rid of stuff. So apps like Rocket Money will help you cancel those subscriptions. It'll let you know where you're, because sometimes those little small like Apple, every time Apple, why y'all always taking $10 from me? Like I'm always confused and it's always at the wrong time. So I want you to check those apps. I want you to save any of your income. You can cancel those apps and use that money towards savings. I see a lot of people doing like the 52-week savings challenges. So if you want to make it fun, like if Woman Hill or you and your friends, you get like the 52 weeks and it'll say, okay, today we're going to put $5 and this and that. And I had some friends from a church, and at the end of the year, they had like $5,000, but it was fun. So you can do those different types of things in order to help you to save. Okay, so just a couple of actionable tips before we go into the home buying process is consider setting up a savings account. Normally, if you have a checking, they'll allow you like a free savings account. If you can automatically, as you get paid, have your bank account like take $10 or $100 or whatever and automatically save that, do that. Cut unnecessary expenses if you can. If you can make your payments on auto pay, let's do that. You want to pay out your outstanding debt. So when we're talking about debt, normally I will put it from lowest to highest. So if I had an outstanding payment for Progressive for $82, I start knocking off those little small debts first and then building up to the higher debts, because sometimes you'll have a big debt and you just feel so overwhelmed. No, start with the small ones first. You can call them, hey, listen, can we work out a payment plan? I know I owe you this from 2020. Would you be willing to take $300? Ask. Sometimes they'll go for it, right? And then you want to, if you can consolidate your debt, if you can make your bills smaller, then do that. Okay. So one of the things I like to tell people is to choose the right agent. I want you to make sure that you interview your real estate agent and ask them the right questions. You want to know, does your agent work and participate with programs that help with home ownership? You want to know, are they familiar with the area that you want to buy in? You want to know what their communication style is. I always tell people that real estate for me is like a group project. And if you ever did group projects, it's one person that don't do nothing, is one person that hold the weight of the team. So you want to make sure that your realtor communicates. I'm very big on communicating. I'm very big on taking time to explain to people. A lot of agents, it looks fun, right? A lot of agents are standing in front of a big Benz and taking pictures with keys, but they will not return your phone call. You want to make sure that you interview that agent, that you guys mesh, because real estate, purchasing a home could feel like a roller coaster, and you want to make sure you have an agent that is knowledgeable. You want to make sure that you have an agent that communicates, right? Once you get a house under contract, it usually takes 30 to 60 days, well, 30 to 45 days in order to go through the process. But I've worked with people for 2 and 3 years. So you want to make sure that you're working with somebody that you enjoy working with. You want to make sure you're working with somebody that's knowledgeable. You want to make sure that when you're asking them questions that they get back to you. I learned real estate in Miami. They don't pick up the phone. They don't answer the phone. They don't respond back. So again, I want to make sure that you interview your agent because you're dating your agent as well, right? And you want someone that's not going to put you in a position where you'll have buyer's remorse or you'll regret, whatever it is that you did. So choose the right agent. And the right agent is not always a person with a billion followers on Instagram. That doesn't make that person the right agent. I've had that happen before. It's agents that's come to me with like 50,000 followers and they're like, well, how you write a contract? And I'm like, I know you lying. You are lying to the people. They think you know what you get. So anyway, long story short, interview the agent. Okay, so the home ownership process. So step one, you want to get pre-approved for the loan. What they're going to do is a pull on your credit. They want to know how much income do you have going in, how much income do you have going out. They want to know your credit score. They want to know if you made your payments on time. They're going to use all of that information. They're going to say, okay, based on this information, Sally, we are comfortable loaning you X amount of dollars, $300,000, whatever. It's going to determine the amount of the loan, the type of loan, and that is what I call like your golden ticket. So normally when people get their pre-approval, I'll say, okay, so you're approved for 350, you have an FHA loan. Then I will use that in any home that's, let's say they want to live in Coral Springs. Any home that's in Coral Springs that's 350 and below that accepts FHA loans, those will be the type of homes that will pop up on your feed because those are the homes that you qualify for. Okay. So you get pre-approved for a loan. We talked about finding a real estate agent. You want to make sure that that person knows how to negotiate, that they'll help you with your paperwork, that they'll, tell you what you need to know in order to make an informed decision. I always tell people, I'm going to tell you everything I know so you can make the best decision for you because I have to sleep at night, right? I don't want to just push you into a home because I want to make money. I want you to be happy with your purchase. I want you to be knowledgeable about your purchase, and I don't want you to resent this transaction. A lot of realtors are fast talkers and they want to get you moving really, really fast. And so I want you to take your time and make sure you're asking questions and making sure that you get an agent that you mesh well with and that is knowledgeable. All right. So step 3 is the fun part, which is the house hunting. That is so fun to me. I'm the most excited during the house hunting day. I'm like, girl, did you see that kitchen? So that's the fun part where you get to look at homes. And then I tell people, like, if you like it, now they say put a ring on it, put a contract on it. That's when you're going to put a contract on the house. You're going to put an offer. Your agent will write up an offer like, okay, we saw this house. You have it for 350. We'll offer you 330. They'll put all the terms. If the seller is in agreement with those terms, they will sign off on it and you are officially under contract. Okay. I already talked about making an offer. After you make an offer, the home has to get inspected. So it's kind of like when you purchase a car, you test drive it. We go inside of a house and it looks good, but we have an inspector that comes and they check the house from the roof to the basement. So they're going to check every doorknob. They're going to check the water heaters. They're going to check the roof because you don't necessarily know what you're getting into. So this is like a comprehensive report so that you can see, all right, this roof is about 10 years old. The life expectancy is about this. That way, when you're making that decision, you know what you're getting into. And then you'll also have the appraisal. Now, the appraisal, I may have a house and I'll say, I love my house. This is the most beautiful house on the street. I want $500,000 for it. And I put it on the market. And then the bank will say, well, actually, this house is worth 350, right? So the appraisal is there to kind of steer that because you can put your house on the market for whatever you want to put it on the market for. But the appraisal is making sure that the home appraises for what it truly is worth because the bank isn't going to pay more for the home than what it is worth. So just because I love my house and I want $500,000 for it, if you have a loan and they can pay cash, but if a bank is writing a loan, they're not paying more for the home than what the home is worth. Okay. And then afterwards, you sign the paperwork, you pay your closing costs, and you get the keys. So, normally, from the time the contract is executed to the time that you get your keys is about a 30 to 45-day process. It is the longest, last shortest like phase of your life, right? It's like when you're going through it, it's like, oh my God, this is forever. And then once it's over, it's like, well, that wasn't so bad. Okay, so we were talking about the different types of loans. So remember, we were talking about FHA. Well, I'm going to talk about FHA loans. FHA loans are government backed loans. These loans are there to help people qualify for homes. You don't have to have the highest credit score. Typically, you only need a 580. The down payment is normally like 3.5%. So let's talk about down payments. When you purchase a home, you have to put a down payment. There's down payments and there are closing costs. With the FHA loan, you would only have to put 3.5% of the purchase price. So if you have your calculators, let's do a little homework. So I want you in your calculator, if you have your phones nearby, we're going to put 300,000 times 3.5%. Okay. 3.5% is 3.5% of $300,000 is 10,500. That's how much you would have to put down for the home, right? That's down payment. And then you have closing costs. Closing costs are a combination of just various fees, right? So normally, let's say if you're buying a house for around $300,000, you normally would need about $20,000 to $25,000, maybe more, to purchase that home. So I just want you guys to keep that in mind. But that's at the $300,000 purchase price. If you're looking for something at 200,000, 150, or whatever, just keep in mind with this type of loan, the down payments are normally 3.5% of the total price, right? So you would pay, let's say, $20,000, and then the bank would fund the remaining, let's say, $320,000. And then over the next 30 years, you would pay that off with interest, if that makes sense. I'm going to pause because I know that's a lot of information. If you have questions, you could feel free to come off mute. We're good. Okay. So there's FHA loans. You don't need high credit for that. The down payment is lower, but it does require you to have insurance on the loan. You have to have more annual mortgage insurance is required for those types of loans. Okay, so that's your FHA. The next type of loan. Oh, hopefully I didn't switch anything. Can you guys still see my screen?
I think it still says FHA loans,
FHA loans. Okay. Let's go forward.
but you're frozen.
Okay. Am I still frozen?
Okay, you're back.
Okay. Uh-oh. All right, let's see. Let me go back a little bit. Okay. Are you still able to see the screen?
Yep, we can see
Okay.
it.
Okay, all right. So the next type of loan is your conventional loans. Typically, you need a higher credit score for those. Those loans start at around a 620. The down payment could vary between $3,000 to $5,000. You need more of stable income, higher credit, but you don't have to have that mortgage insurance for your conventional loans. We have your VA loans. These are for veterans. You don't have to have a down payment if you're a veteran. The credit it's a great loan. If you were in the military or any person that was in the service, the VA loans, they're no down payment. I have a close friend, her dad bought like $1 million house, but he was in the military for 20 something years. He didn't have to put anything down on his $1 million home because he had a VA loan. All right, so let's talk about funding. So I know we discussed down payment. There are funding options, right, at the city, state, and lender level. And what I mean by that, so there are some programs in specific cities. So let's say you live in the city of Pompano Beach, Florida. Sometimes that city will have programs that will help you purchase homes within that specific city. So if you are looking to purchase a home, I want you to start researching to see, are there assistance programs in your city that will help you purchase a home, right? I'm on the Boynton Beach Housing Authority. They had a lottery giving away homes and they did not advertise it to the public. And so no one knew that they had this lottery helping people purchase homes because they don't volunteer that information to the public. So I'm telling you that if you guys can join your local boards, if you can be a part of these different things, I would do that because sometimes they have city programs. Now, it's only there until they run out of money. So I want you guys to be aware of local programs in your city. There are some programs that are state specific. So I know Florida has Hometown Heroes. I don't know if you guys have heard of Hometown Heroes. If you were, it came out during the pandemic, but if you are a teacher, healthcare worker, first responder, military personnel, they gave up to $35,000. So remember, we were talking about 24,000 that you would need. This program will give you up to $35,000. But what a lot of people didn't know about this was that it's not free money. So if you sell the home, um, if you pay the home off, that $35,000 is still due back. So I want everybody to make sure that you do your due diligence when you are trying to sign up for these programs. See, is it going to be a second mortgage? Is it forgivable? Do I have to pay it back? You want to make sure that you're doing your research with those things. And then some lenders. So when I tell you to get pre-approved for a loan, that's with a lender. Those lenders, sometimes they are participants of different assistance programs. So you want to ask, like, does your lender participate with home assistance programs? I had some people, they gave like $10,000 towards down payment and closing costs. And that's a lot of money. That's helpful. And then also you want to think too, when you're purchasing a home, you have to buy furniture, you may want to do some decorating or painting. So everything helps. Okay, that's a little bit more about the Hometown Heroes program. Um, so some of the requirements for some of these first-time home buyers program, you must be a first-time buyer for a lot of the programs, or you couldn't have purchased a home within the last 3 years. So make sure you read the fine print. You must occupy the house as a primary residence. So if you're thinking about like investing in certain things, make sure, the program will work for what you're trying to do in the future. Some of them you have to do certain education hours and credits. You have to be within a certain income limit. So you just want to make sure that you understand the program. Okay. There was a program in Palm Beach, and I actually tried to apply for it when I was living there. They were giving up to $100,000. They opened it at 12. By 12:02, all the money was gone. So you have to really like be on top, like you have to have all your paperwork. So right now, Palm Beach, and they put this information in places like LinkedIn or just small places where you wouldn't see it. So I have a friend, she sent me over this notification that says notice of funding available. They have loan assistance. It could be used for emergency repairs, new construction, rehab, down payment, things like that. So I want you guys to be aware of what's going on locally
Hey,
because a lot of
London,
times they don't
can you hear us?
they don't want you to.
Can you hear us?
Yes.
Uh, it's breaking up. I don't know.
It's breaking up. I don't know. Oh, okay. Let me try something.
Uh-oh, you're frozen. Let's wait for it to come back.
Is it still frozen?
Nope, you're moving normally now.
Terrible. Okay, let's try this. And I'm almost done.
No, this is good so far. Thank you, thank you.
Okay, let me go back. Okay. Um, all right, so I was talking about the Palm Beach County. They were advertising funding that could be used for new constructions, down payment, emergency repairs. But again, they don't normally advertise these types of things to the public. So what I do is I follow them on Facebook, I follow them on LinkedIn, I follow the website. I sign up for their emails because normally it's not like they're going on the news and advertising this information. So a lot of times it's hush hush. So just as like a tidbit of advice, if you say, you know what, I want to purchase a home in Newport Richie, start following those websites, start following their pages, start getting their emails so that you're aware when new things come out. All right. So next steps. I want you guys to determine what is the right path for you. And so a lot of times when I do like new homeowners consultations, everybody's on a different path. You may be on a path where you're fixing your credit, and maybe it'll take 6 months to do that. Someone else may be on a path where, hey, I just need to save some money. I know a lot of people, they get their income taxes. You can use that money and put that to the side. Or if you're ready to go, like, hey, you know, I have the credit, I'm ready to go, I'm ready to get pre-approved. Just determine what is your right path, and then you're going to work on the steps in order to get to home ownership. But it's a path, and everybody's on a different journey. Again, I've worked with people for 2 and 3 years. They're like, when I get right, I'm going to come back. And I'm like, I'm going to be here. So just determine, you know, what is your path, and then use those steps to go towards it. And I want you to know it's possible. There are so many different people that thought they couldn't own a home. They thought they, you know, would never do it. And it's possible we were able to make it to the finish table. I had this little video of all my happy, beautiful families that purchased their first home. So I just want to encourage you guys that you too can purchase a home as well.